Period. No exceptions. And if you have your off-duty gun and you are changing out of your uniform and into your go-home clothes, why is your hand in front of the barrel of your gun?
Listen to this.
Right? You keep every gun pointed in a safe direction. At your hand is not a safe direction. Also, the report is that the officer was putting the gun in his holster. My question would be, what was it doing out of the holster?
Listen.
I'm not trying to be a smart aleck here, but you take your gun out of your holster when you are using it. I can't think of any appropriate use for a firearm in that situation. I suspect that probably the officer had his off-duty weapon holstered and with his clothes, probably in a locker or some other secure place, while he was out doing his police officer duty, and then got back and changing clothes and putting on his go-home clothes, and as well as donning his go-home gun. I think that the firearm would be secured in the holster while you are on duty, and I can't think of any reason to take it off or to take it out, unless maybe the holster is, it's difficult or awkward or inconvenient to remove it from his belt or whatever like that. And so he, takes the gun out and, secures it in some other place. Maybe they have a lock box beyond just the clothing locker where his clothes would be. But that might be one explanation why the gun would be out of a holster. It's the only one I could think of. And then I would get to the question of how the hell did the gun go off? They're actually designed not to do that, right? Because the notion of a gun that just shoots when you don't want it to, I think early on in the design process, they said, wow, that wouldn't be good, would it? And so they have worked around it. In all honesty, in almost any circumstance, the only way in which a firearm will discharge is if someone pulls the trigger. And, you avoid that by, you don't put your finger inside the trigger guard. It's called trigger finger discipline. And when holding a firearm, unless you're about to shoot it, you stick your right index finger, if you're right-handed, out straight so that it runs alongside the frame of the firearm, not inside the trigger guard where it might come in contact with the trigger. Further, when you're exercising a proper trigger finger discipline, and your right index finger, if you're right-handed, is extended along the frame of the firearm, that also serves as a secondary protection of the trigger. You have the trigger guard plus whatever bulk of your finger might exist. So I'm not exactly sure how this happened. And again, the interesting quote from the chief, quote, "The officer is currently in good spirits." I can't quite imagine that. You have just done a stupid and embarrassing thing. You should not be in good spirits. You ought to be concerned about, am I going to lose my job? Am I going to be disciplined? Am I, for the rest of my career, going to be a laughingstock? And my gosh, I could have killed somebody. Right? There are any number of things which could play on your mind that would have you in something other than good spirits. I'm grateful that this was not any more calamitous than it was. But of course, if you're going to be a man-at-arms,
RPD cop accidentally shoots himself in the hand
and conscientious
while supposedly
in the handling
trying
of
to put his gun away in his holster.
This would be a major error, and it will be interesting to see what, if any, discipline is brought against this officer for this clear failure.
Yeah, right.
Time for Traffic Northern on the 10s on News Radio Wham 1180.
All right, good morning, YouTube. Good morning. I was going to make a little video. Great job. I was going to make a, what's good, my man? Yeah, right. Love you, brother. I see you up and early tuning in, logging in. I was going to make a video about this anyways, but it was perfect timing. The gentleman that you just heard on the radio, for those of you not familiar with the Rochester, New York area, is Bob Lounsbury, a Rochester, New York radio show host, a person who I've had kind of like a love-hate relationship for over 2 decades, a person who wrote great things about my dad in the 1980s and when my dad passed away, who covered my dad's work as an activist here in Rochester, New York, and basically Rochester's #1 pro-cop supporter, and most often cop apologists. But lately, he's been getting it right. Lately, Bob Lansbury has been getting it point blank right when it comes to the Rochester, New York Police Department, the RPD, one of the dirtiest, most corrupt police agencies in the country. And like he said, one that has quickly really has become, a laughing stock. So here's the latest. An RPD cop, who of course they haven't identified, and they probably will not either. You know, that blue line, blue wall, code of silence thing. Yeah, that's into play here also. Accidentally, and I use the quote accidentally because that's what they're saying, right? And you know the RPD has put their spin on it already, right? Especially the new chief, Mark Simmons. Accidentally shot himself in the hand while supposedly trying to holster his, now they say, his off-duty revolver. I thought it was a service revolver, but again, when it comes to the RPD, you don't know how they're gonna spin this, right? Well, you do know how they're gonna spin it, but you know, it's hard to when you lie, it's hard to swim through the lies, right? And there's a lot of bullshit to this story. So I'm not a firearms person. In fact, I've never owned a firearm. I'm all for the Second Amendment. Personally, I know enough to know, and any firearms expert will tell you, just like Bob Lansbury said, who is an avid gun fanatic and gun owner. I say fanatic because he goes completely overboard sometimes with the whole owning a gun thing, you know, posing for pictures with a rifle and, you know, stuff that I don't think, that's just me, responsible gun owners go around just posting a picture of, you know, looking half crazed, posting a picture with their guns on social media. But that's him. But the number one thing that any gun expert will tell you, and even someone like me who's the farthest thing from an expert, who's never actually owned a firearm, will tell you, do not put your finger anywhere, again, anywhere near the trigger of a firearm unless you intend to discharge that firearm. Again, never put your trigger finger, never put any finger, never touch the trigger at all unless you are ready to use that firearm. Guns don't magically, mysteriously go off by themselves unless there is a finger near the trigger. So right off the bat, I call fucking bullshit. I wish I had a bullshit, kind of like on one of my favorite movies, Airplane. Who remembers Airplane? That's 1,200% correct. What's good, Jesus Padilla? Thank you for tuning in, my brother. Muchas gracias. Who remembers one of my favorite movies, Airplane, from the 70s? Anyone? Any Airplane movie fans? With Leslie Nielsen and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? When the bullshit alert signs come on. More bullshit. I'm not sure if some of the young viewers may not remember that movie, but Airplane, classic movie. One of the funniest movies I've ever watched. So right off the bat, I wish I had those bullshit signs going off in bright red. Bullshit. I call bullshit on this story by the new Rochester. Love that movie. What's good, my brother? Yeah, right. Yeah, right says he loves that movie. Right off the bat, I call bullshit. Tony from the UK, what we talking about today? What's good, Tony? Thank you for tuning in, my brother, from across the pond. We are talking about a Rochester, New York cop who accidentally, is the story, discharged his weapon and shot himself in the hand. Supposedly, they're saying, trying to holster his off-duty service gun in his holster. And so you could run it back later, Tony, after this video is uploaded. Obviously, we live now, but I just had I had on the radio, morning radio here, Rochester's #1 cop supporter, pro-cop apologist, Bob Lounsbury, okay, talking about, lately he's been, going at the RPD and having it 100% on point. And today he talked about the classic thing, and I was just saying, Tony, to catch you up here real quick, that me, myself, I don't own a firearm. I've never owned a firearm. However, even me, a person who has never even discharged a firearm, can tell you that you never place your finger, any finger, you never, period, touch the fucking trigger of any firearm unless you intend to shoot. In other words, you're never supposed to put anything or touch with anything, your finger, your hand, I don't give a fuck if it's your thumb. Do not touch the trigger of any firearm unless you intend to shoot it. So right off the bat, I call bullshit. The Rochester, New York Police Department cannot be trusted. They have proven this repeatedly over decades. They are one of the most corrupt, one of the dirtiest police agencies in the country. The Rochester, New York Police Department has not earned trust. Therefore, anything that they say, their spins, their bullshit, and their lies must not be believed. Only fucking sheep, like my man Right says, only individuals who have been programmed. Only individuals who have been programmed to believe anything that cops say will believe this bullshit, because they're not free-thinking individuals, because they're sheep, because they've been programmed. They've been conditioned, they've been trained to believe anything that law enforcement tells them. They're not free-thinking, individual, independent folks. They are sheep. They follow the crowd. Oh, cops can do no good, no bad. Sorry, Freudian slip there. Freudian slip. Cops can do no bad. They're our heroes. They're here to protect us. We pay their salary. They do a good job. I'm sticking with the police officer in this case. You heard it from a #1 cop supporter. An individual who has cheerleaded the Rochester, New York Police Department for decades. A pro-cop apologist, radio talk show host, Bob Lounsbury. You just heard him say the story is suspect, is what basically he said. If we sum up what he said, the story is suspect. Guns don't accidentally go off. They go off when you touch the fucking trigger. But now you have the spin machine and the damage control machine of the Rochester, New York Police Department in full fucking effect. You have a new chief of police, Mark Simmons, who I have called a house Negro for years. Because as an African American, first, and as a cop, second, he has played a huge part in the cover-up of hundreds of cases of innocent people being abused, having their rights violated and trampled on, and in some cases being executed, including unarmed, mentally ill people being executed by trigger. Remember that word, trigger. I'll say it again. Trigger happy RPD cops. Back to that word trigger. These cops are so fucking trigger happy that here's my take on this incident. I'm going to give you Davy V's take. The sheep can keep watching. Those of you who have been programmed can keep watching and believing the bullshit that they feed you. Keep eating it. Keep eating the bullshit. Man, I wish I had those fucking signs right now, right behind me. A big fucking huge neon sign or red sign. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Here's my take. My take is locker room talk. 3 words. Locker room talk. Or 1 word if you put locker room together, right? Locker room. Here's what I think happened. A cop is somehow playing around with a gun like a little fucking immature kid. Oh shit. Bang! Shoots himself in the fucking hand. That's my take. Plain and simple. Careless, irresponsible behavior on the part of a supposed grown fucking adult who has taken a sworn oath to serve and protect the community and to uphold the U.S. Constitution. Thank you, my brother. Again, for the sheep, since you've been programmed, and the cop apologists, since you've been trained, since you've been conditioned to believe the bullshit because you can't think on your own, I'll be nice enough to break it down for you again. A grown fucking man, an adult, who has been charged with the power, with the authority to take someone's life, to arrest someone, to take their freedom away, to detain them, who has more power, like Alfred Hitchcock once said during an interview, the great movie, film director, one of my favorite directors of all time, Alfred Hitchcock. Movies like Psycho, Rear Window, The Birds. They asked Alfred Hitchcock a long time ago, reporter in England, you, the master of suspense, what do you fear the most? Guess what his answer was? 2 words. The police. The reporter said, what the fuck? He probably sounded more like, what the fuck? Trying to do an English accent. Shout out to all my viewers in the UK. Love y'all. But the reporter was taken back by Alfred Hitchcock's answer to what he feared the most. Good morning, Cynthia. Have a great day. You too. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. So the reporter said, you, the master of suspense, the master of horror, this great film director, you fear the police? What? He said, let me explain. He said, the police is the only one in society. The police is the only one in society with the power to tap you on your shoulder and say, come with me. He said, not a judge, not a prime minister, no one. And here in the U.S., not even the president has the power to detain your freedom, to arrest you, to put handcuffs on you, to limit your movement, or to take your life like a cop does. So Alfred Hitchcock said, they have the most power. And when that power is abused, he said to the reporter, it is a frightening thing. We are talking about individuals who have taken a sworn oath to serve, protect, and uphold the Constitution, who have been given this immense amount of power, including firearms, which many times they use against the very same citizens that they are supposed to protect. Thank you, my brother. Yeah, right. So you sheep, you trolls, you stalkers, you can keep on believing the bullshit. Like we say in Spanish, hártate, sigue comiendo la mierda. Keep eating the bullshit, pendejos. And those free-thinking folks that are nice enough to take time out of their day to tune in to my channel and to hear me rant, I thank you. But even more importantly, I thank you for being a free thinker. There are a lot of you out there. What's good, Angel Vega? ¿Qué pasa, papi? Thank you for tuning in, my brother. There are a lot of you out there who are smart enough, who know when you're being fed bullshit, and who refuse to eat it. What's good, Angel? Again, chilling. Welcome. Yeah, right. Love you, my brother. There are folks, good men and women watching this channel. And guess what? Newsflash, breaking story, breaking news. Even some cops that watch my channel that have told me on the low, keep doing what you're doing. Oh, the trolls hate that one. That's right. There are a lot of law enforcement fans watching this channel. Shout out to y'all. Thank you for tuning in. You are most definitely welcome on this channel because some of you good men and women out there know that you have entered a career that in many ways you know the ugly side of it, but in many ways you feel stuck. And I respect that and I can relate to that and I understand that. I don't understand you looking the other way, some of you, when there's abuse being committed right in front of you. But I understand that some of you got into this profession with a whole different idea of what you realized it really was. I get that. And you are definitely welcome on this channel. But again, for all the free thinkers out there who refuse to be manipulated and forced into believing the bullshit. And when you're fed the bullshit, you kindly say at the dinner table, right? No, thank you. You push it away. Not for me. Not today. Angel said, run for mayor, Dave. Let's do it. Let's do it. Davy V for mayor. Bro, I'll clean house from the top to the bottom. I'll clean all that shit. I'll really drain the swamp. And trust me, Rochester and Monroe County, there's a deep, thick-ass swamp, bro. Trust that. Career politicians, 10, 20, 30, 40 years in power. All about that paper. Don't give two fucks about anyone. Trust me, I'll clean that shit out. I'll fucking drain that bitch with big-ass rotor-rooter fucking industrial strength fucking pumps. Thank you to each and every one of you who are smart enough to think freely, to know when you're being fed lies, to know when you're being fed bullshit. Cynthia said, LOL, that's great. I'll drain the shit out that swamp, Cynthia. From the mayor to the police chief, house Negro, to everyone. All of them, get the fuck out. I call bullshit. Nothing was accidental. You're showing off a gun. You're talking to your other buddy about what black guy's ass you beat tonight or what Latino you fucking racially profiled on Clinton Avenue, motherfucker. and you're being an asshole, and you're flipping a gun, and you shot yourself in your motherfucking hand, and you're the laughing stock, and you just added another fucking mark to your corrupt, dirty, laughing stock joke of a police force that you call the Rochester, New York Police Department, the RPD. And everyone in the fucking community is laughing at your dumb ass. Peace.